In the bustling city of London, there was a certain gentleman named Robert. He was a dignified man, known for his polite manners and quiet demeanor. To keep himself healthy, he decided to take up a daily walking routine. Every day, without fail, he would go on an extensive walk around his neighborhood. During these walks, he would always pass by a particular street corner where a woman, known to sell her companionship for the night, stood. Each day, as he strolled by, she would confidently call out £200. Not wanting to cause a stir, Robert would respond quietly, almost in a whisper, "No, just £10, hoping this would be enough to quiet her and allow him to continue on his way. This strange ritual became a part of Robert's walks, her loud offer and his dismissive counter-offer. One day, Robert's wife Margaret expressed her desire to accompany him on his daily walk. As they neared the infamous corner, Robert felt a surge of worry. He knew the woman would be there, and she would shout out her usual £200. He also knew that Margaret would hear this and would undoubtedly have questions about this odd exchange. Robert was at a loss about how he could possibly explain this to his wife. As they approached the corner, Robert's anxiety spiked. He could see the woman standing there, waiting. He tried to avoid making eye contact, but it was to no avail. As they passed by, the woman's voice rang out clear as day. "See what you get for £10, you cheapskate." One sunny day, a visually impaired gentleman and his loyal guide dog are out for their regular stroll, navigating through the neighborhood streets. They soon find themselves approaching a notoriously busy intersection bustling with traffic. Seemingly unfazed by the loud noises and the high volume of cars speeding past them on the street, the dog takes an unexpected decision. He guides the blind man straight into the chaotic thick of traffic, showing no regard for the clear and present danger. This abrupt move is instantly followed by the harsh, jarring screech of braking tires, and the cacophony of horns blurring in panic. Terrified drivers swerve desperately, doing their utmost to avoid hitting the blind man and his dog, who are now dangerously exposed in the middle of the road. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the blind man and his guide dog manage to reach the safety of the sidewalk, on the other side of the bustling intersection, narrowly escaping what could have been a tragic accident. After catching his breath, the blind man reaches into the pocket of his worn-out coat, retrieves a doggy biscuit, and offers it to his canine companion. A passerby, who has been observing the entire near-death incident from a short distance, finds himself unable to contain his astonishment. He approaches the blind man and asks incredulously, "I'm sorry, but I have to ask, why on earth are you rewarding your dog with a cookie? He nearly got you killed out there." The blind man, turning his head slightly in the direction of the voice, replies coolly, "To find out where his head is, so I can kick his ass." One day, a fireman, having completed his grueling shift, returned home to his wife. Feeling inspired by the procedures of his workplace, he decided to bring a bit of the regimented order from the fire station into his household. He said to his wife, "You know, we have a truly remarkable system at the fire station, and a fish, a process that allows us to react quickly to emergencies. When bell 1 rings, we know it's time to don our protective jackets. When bell 2 rings, it's our cue to slide down the pole. And when bell 3 rings, we immediately embark upon the fire trucks, ready to brave the flames. From this point onward, I propose we operate our home in a similar fashion. When I call out bell 1, I would like you to gracefully shed all your clothes. When I announced bell 2, I want you to playfully leap into bed, and when I say bell 3, we will engage in a session of passionate lovemaking. The very next evening, the fireman returned home from work, excited to put their new plan into action. He announced, with a slightly mischievous twinkle in his eye, "Bell 1." In response, his wife coyly removed her attire. "Bell 2." Following the command, his wife leapt into their bed. "Bell 3." And thus, they commence their passionate dance of love. However, after a mere 2 minutes, his wife cried out in a voice that was half mocking, half playful, "Bell 4." The fireman, taken aback, asked in confusion, "Wait a minute, what on earth is bell 4? His wife, with a cheeky smile, replied, "More hose. You're nowhere near the fire." Young Jack was eagerly preparing to marry the love of his life, Jill. His father, a wise and experienced man, decided to impart some advice that he believed had been the secret to his successful marriage. "My dear son," he began, "when I tied the knot with your dear mother, the first thing I did when we arrived at our new home was quite unusual, but bear with me. I helped your mother out of her wedding gown until she was completely bare, and then I proceeded to remove my trousers. Then, quite unceremoniously, I handed my trousers to your mother and encouraged her to try them on. As expected, she found them to be enormously large for her petite figure. She admitted, 'I can't wear these, they're much too large for me.' To which I responded firmly, 'Of course they are too large for you, my dear. I wear the pants in this family, and it shall always be so.'" He concluded his story with a twinkle in his eye. Ever since that unusual exchange, we've managed to live our lives without a single significant disagreement. Taking his father's advice to heart, Jack decided to replicate the symbolic act with his new wife on their wedding night. Subsequently, Jill, being a clever and independent woman herself, decided to add her own twist to the tradition. She carefully slipped off her lacy bridal undergarments and handed them to Jack. "Why don't you give these a try?" she suggested with a knowing smile. Taking her suggestion in stride, Jack attempted to fit into her tiny panties. However, they were clearly far too small for him. "What's the point of this strange exercise, darling? I can't possibly fit into your panties," Jack exclaimed, rather puzzled. "Exactly," Jill replied, her smile growing wider. "And if you don't change your attitude, you never will." A frustrated wife was becoming increasingly annoyed with her husband, who spent all his free time hanging out at the local bar. One evening, she decided she had enough and demanded to go with him, wanting to see for herself what kept him there for hours on end. Upon arriving at the bar, her husband asked, "So what would you like to drink?" "I'm not sure," she replied hesitantly. "I guess I'll have the same thing you're having." The husband ordered a couple of beers and quickly downed us in one swift gulp. His wife observed him intently, then cautiously took a small sip from her own glass. The taste was so bitter and unpleasant that she immediately spat it out. "Yuck, that's absolutely awful," she exclaimed. "I don't know how you can drink this stuff." Grinning, her husband responded, "Well, there you have it, and you think I'm not enjoying myself every night." Subscribe to the channel. This is important. It will help me continue my work.